Howdy, my name is Anthony, and I ran an ultra marathon. So in this video, I'm going to share my 7 life lessons from running my first ultra marathon. Just a little bit of background. I started off back in 2019. I started my running journey, and the reason I decided to start running is I had this mindset that I'm not a runner. That is something that I told myself for a long time, and I think back in 2016, I was like, oh, I'm going to run my first half marathon. And it never happened until 2019. So I wanted to change that mindset. I wanted to test myself and see, like, let's see, like, am I really not a runner, or is that just something I say to myself? And let's commit to something big. And so that was kind of why I started running. And I'm also part of this great community called Build Your Life Resume, and they have this idea of a Misogi. And this is something that you set for this year, whatever year it is, 2021, 2022. This is the year defining event that I'm just going to push myself, that when I look back on 2021, this is what I accomplished. And for my Misogi, I decided to run an ultra marathon. And so I'm going to share my 7 life lessons from doing that. And I'll start off with lesson number 1. And there's this thought that, like, you set this goal, and like, now is not that good a time. I got this going on. I got this going on. I'm gonna wait 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks, everything's gonna work. Everything's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna have time to commit to it. And to be honest, that doesn't happen. If I look at my schedule leading up to this ultra marathon, this was probably the worst time. This is the busiest I've ever been. I have a full-time job. We have a side hustle where we do Turo, where we rent to guests, and things start to ramp up with COVID because we're in Las Vegas, so people are coming out here and renting our car. I helped a friend launch his first virtual summit in 30 days, which was a lot of work. And then I was also doing some self-education in a 6-week program. So I had a full schedule. And I'll say it, if you want it, you'll find the time. So there's never a right time. If you want to do something, put it on the calendar, commit to it, and you will get it done. Number 2 is thinking about food as fuel. And I did a bad job with this in training. I ate too much. I was training for an ultra marathon, running all these miles, the most I've ever ran, and my diet was horrible. I actually gained weight. This is the most I've ever weighed while running. And my body just wasn't used to it. This was something that I should have probably trained longer for, maybe waited later in the year, but decided to commit to this. But to really think about food as fuel, like, especially like when I was on that course, it's not about what tastes good; it's about what your body needs. And I wish I'd done a little bit more research, because if I'd done it, I would have consumed more solid foods early on, because there's still blood in the stomach to digest that food, and then later on move to gels. But just in general, thinking about food as fuel, like, one of my keystone habits is working out. And usually, except for this rotation, that leads to everything else kind of moving in a positive way. Like, I start to eat healthy. I start to make sure I take my vitamins. I start to make sure I properly hydrate myself. So that was lesson number 2. Think of food as fuel. Those first 2 were a little bit like, one was time management, thinking about that. The other one was fuel. The rest are a lot more mindset driven. This is like me on the course, like what got me through those supposed to be 31 miles, ended up being 33 miles. I don't know what kind of 50K this was. It was a little bit more than that. 50K plus is what I ran. But lesson number 3 is to go for small wins. Like, we live in this Instagram, Facebook, social media world, and everybody's sharing this, like, great things. But really, it's the small wins that you don't see that lead up to those big wins. And you don't see the suffering, the struggle that goes into it. And for me, like, how I had to think about it, unfortunately, I thought I was going to run my first 20 miles. It was going to be easy. At mile 8, I was already struggling. Like, my quads were gone. They were sore. It was bad. And so for the last 10 miles, I was trying to jog. I was trying to run. And I couldn't. Like, my quads would just tighten up. I'd end up having to massage them out. It was more time massaging after trying to jog than if I just walked. I would have gone faster walking. So I had to think about, like, what is my small win? How can I move forward quicker without doing this? And I had to test it. So I would jog 10 steps and then walk 20. Like, I'm gonna instead of walking the whole time, I'm gonna find where my body will allow me to move forward faster. And that got up to, I think I was jogging 17 steps, walking 20, jogging 17, walking 20. And then it got as bad as jogging 7, walk 40. But it was these small wins. I knew I was moving forward. I had my mind on like, what is the small task? And every step I was counting. 1, 2, 3. All right, walk. 1, 2, 3. Like it was these small steps. I knew I was moving forward. I knew I was progressing better than if I had just kind of walked, or if I was jogging and then like cramping and then having to sit down and stretch and massage. I knew I was doing the right things and just doing this. Like a lot of people will talk about just jogging to the next tree, or just jogging to like an area that you, okay, I'm going to jog there. And then once you get there, okay, I'm going to get to the next one. For me, it was counting steps. That was my way of moving forward and celebrating small wins to get me there. Lesson number 4 was to smile. This is something I struggle with. I wrestled, was my background, and I was somebody who liked to grind, who liked to grit, who liked to struggle. Like it was a weird thing. Like I liked that. But my wife comes at things from a different other perspective. Like she likes to accomplish things, but she likes to do it from a happy mindset of joy and like having fun and that type of energy. And so this was a great opportunity for me to practice that, because you're running 33 miles, you can grind it out. You can have this mental mindset of like, arr, and you can also have a good mindset. So there was moments where like I was struggling, and I'm out on the trails running those 33 miles, and I decided I'm going to smile. So I looked up at the trees, enjoyed the moment, looked around, took a deep breath, smiled, and took in the moment. And so you can choose to be happy and experience something, or you can choose to grind it out and have a little bit more of like I can do this, like you can choose either way. And you can choose to smile, and you can choose to enjoy it. And that's what I chose 99% of the course to do. And so there was that 1%. So lesson number 5 is, when you can't smile anymore, lean into it. Lean into that grind. Lean into that grit, because that's something that we all need. So when I couldn't smile anymore, and it actually only happened once. There was only one moment where like, I can't smile. I need a little bit of, and that's literally all I did. I did one of those, and I said, I'm gonna fucking do this. And that was it. I just needed that 3 seconds to get that out of me, and I was good to go. So you can smile as much as you can. When you can't, lean into that grind. I did it quickly just to get it out of me and then push through. Maybe needed more time, but that was all I needed. Another mindset shift is this race was supposed to be 31 miles. It was longer. I ran probably 33 miles. I said that a few times now. And you're tired. I ran 31 miles. And at that point, I'm ready to be done. Like, I did 31 miles. Why am I still moving? I should be enjoying a beer, or I should be enjoying a snack. I should be hydrating. I should be just sitting on my ass. And the finish line was nowhere in sight. It was another 2 miles before I would get to that finish line. And in that moment, I was pissed and I was stressed, and I was like, what the hell? This is bullshit. And I had to change my mindset, because no matter what, whether I like it or not, I still am getting across that finish line. I got to move forward, right? So from Stoicism, one of the things I learned is obstacles make me stronger. And so I shifted my mindset to gratitude. Like, wow, I set my Misogi to run 31 miles to push myself and see what I could do. These guys are so generous. I paid $75. They threw out an extra 2 miles for me to push myself. How fucking lucky am I? Oh, I just cursed, sorry. How lucky am I? They gave me an extra 2 miles to push myself to see if I can do this. Thank you so much. Let's do it. And so it's all these little mental games. And, I'm running, but these are things you can do in your daily life, right? Like, oh, your boss gives you extra work. Like, oh, I was done. Like, what is this? Like, oh, wow, they trusted me to do this. They trusted me to pick up this task to accomplish XYZ. Wow, they trust me. That is awesome. Let's kick some ass. Like, you can choose how you react to things. And so this is just one of those cases. And lesson 7 is you have more in the tank. So that same use case, 31 miles, I was barely moving forward, but I was moving. And this was a time limit course. Like at 9 hours, they cut you off. And I'm looking at my watch, and I don't know what it was. Let's just say it was 8:15, and 45 minutes left on the course. I'm like, shit, I don't know where the finish line is. I don't know how far it is really. Like I know it's somewhere there, but I could be here forever. I set a goal to finish this. I have 9 hours. I gotta move my ass. And so I've found another gear. Like I thought I was counting. I think at that point I was probably 7 steps jogging, 40 steps walking. Like my legs were gone. But those last 2 miles with that time restriction and knowing that I don't know how far I am, I moved my booty as quickly as I could. I doubled my pace 2 minutes per mile for those last 2, maybe even 3 minutes per mile quicker. I was moving, and it was no longer jog, walk, jog, walk. I jogged the whole time. And so there's always this gear of being able to do, like, we can do this right now. Raise your hand as high as you can. As high as you can. Is that as high as you can? Raise it a little higher. It's right there. So you have this mental thing. Like he said, raise it as high as I can. You did that. I said, raise it a little higher. You were able to raise your hand a little higher. There's always another gear. There's always something you can dig deeper and find. And that is just a great tool to realize that, even going back to like finding the time to train, like, I don't know how, if you dig deep and if you look for it, you will find it. And you just have to trust yourself and have the conviction that you're going to accomplish what you set out to do. So those are my 7 lessons. Lesson 1 was there's never a right time, so take action now. Lesson 2 was think of food as fuel and make sure you're fueling your body to be the best that it can be. Lesson 3 was having those small wins and just incremental movement forward to get across that finish line. Lesson 4 was smile and approach things with a sense of joy and happiness. And when you can't, lesson 5, grind, lean into it, lean into that and just kind of take in that grind, that grit, push through things. And when you need to, when the obstacles are big and seemingly challenged, lesson 6, switch into a mindset of gratitude. Like, wow, thanks for giving me this opportunity to prove myself. Let's do this. And then lesson 7, you have more in the tank. You can always dig deeper. Humans have accomplished amazing things, and you can too. So those are my 7 lessons from running my first ultramarathon. Hope you found it valuable. One call to action for me is, we always talk about learning from your failures. But for me, this was a win. I ran my first ultramarathon, and I looked back and said, well, what were the wins? What takeaways can I have? So I'd love for you to think about what is the recent win you had, and what lessons are there from that? Like, yes, we can learn from our failures, and I've definitely learned from those, but you can also learn from your wins. So I'd love for you to think about what's a recent win, and what lessons can I take moving forward. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you on this side. Bye.